Hello, I'm an engineered cloud for you, an enterprise cloud provider. Welcome to our training course. In this lesson, we'll take a look at IPSec VPN over Edge and NSX Edge. Network scheme looks like this. We have an NSX Edge with an external IP address of 45.134.60.6. We also have NSX Edge created in another data center with an IP address of 176.53.182.80. They also already have ORG VDC network created. One point is 14.0, the other is 23.0. Well, earlier virtual machines were also created with addresses 192.168.14.3 and 192.168.23.2. Our main goal is to achieve connectivity between two virtual machines over IPsec tunnel. Initially, we have two data centers. Our one data center is M14 and the other is K41. They have edge. For instance, let's go to M14, tab Edges. We have created a data center named M14 Edge. Next, we have to see the external IP address, and we see the IP address 45.134.60.6. We have to check if the IP address is the same as in our scheme. And we also need to check that we have already created an org VDC network. Here is the demo cloud video M14 LAN, created with a subnet 192.168.14.1/24. We also have a virtual machine already created in the right subnet and with a correct IP address 192.168.14.3. And in the data center K41, it's the same. Let's go to it. Edge tab. We see the previously created Edge external IP address 176.53.82.80. It matches our scheme. We have created a subnet to 3.0 and virtual machine to 3.2. We can see it in the network tab that the test IPsec called network CIDR 192.168.3.1/24 and accordingly IPsec virtual machine 4. Let's go to the details and check the IP address. It's 192.168.23.2 and that's correct. Everything is already created in the network map. Now, we have to create an IPsec tunnel in the M14 data center. Open the created edge. Here, to activate IPsec tunnel, we need to go to the Services tab. Go to Services. Here we can see Firewall, DHCP, and NAT. We're looking at the VPN tab. It is also possible to create IPsec VPNs and L2 VPNs. In this tutorial, we will focus on the IPsec VPN. There are activation, global configuration, logging settings, and IPsec VPN sites. We will return to them later. We need to go to the tab IPsec VPN sites. Create a new site. Click plus. Next, activate our site. Next, we need to enable PFS. This feature ensures that each cryptographic key is not associated with another key. We will enter a name. We will call it IPsec M14. Tab Local ID and Local Endpoint. It is necessary to enter our external wide IP addresses. For this, we go to our data center M14, go to Edges tab, select our edge, IP allocations. We find our IP address 45.134.60.6. Copy it and paste it into the local ID and local endpoint. Next, local subnets. Here we specify the local subnet, which will be used in the IPsec tunnel. Go back to the diagram, and here we have subnet 192.168.14.0/24. Enter it. Now we have to give the peer ID and the peer endpoint. Look at the diagram and we see that the address of the remote site is 176.53.182.80. We specify the same in the peer endpoint tab. Here we enter the remote local subnet on the other point. Go back to the scheme, and here we see that it is 192.168.23.0/24. It is entered. Extensions. Here you can add more subnets separated by commas. For example, if there is more than one subnet at the remote site. Next, you have to specify the encryption algorithm. AES is assigned by default, but we choose AES 256 for stronger encryption. Method of authentication. We can choose either PSK or biocertificate. In order to make it active biocertificate, we need to add the certificate in the tab, and I will show this later. Firstly, we should add the certificate to the edge. And in another tab, Global Configuration, we should specify that we will authorize by certificate and choose desired certificate. In this case, we will use PSK. Pre-shared key must be specified. Let it be 1234. We are prompted to choose a key exchange algorithm. In general, we can leave the default DH5. Encryption algorithm is also the default. SHA1. IKE option include IKE v1, IKE v2, and IKE vflex. The last one will only work between edge, i.e. new network devices do not support this option. Default is IKE v1, IKE respondal only. This function allows you to specify that it will receive only the incoming connection. This is useful when the other side, for example, is behind NAT itself IPSec site. In this case, it will only respondal, receive connections from the other side. In our case, we have no NAT, everything works directly, so leave it by default. Press Keep and save changes. Next, you need to activate our VPN site. Global configuration. Here you can specify if you want to activate the pre-shared key, and here you can activate the authentication by certificate. Accordingly, first you must add a certificate to the edge, then the desired certificate must appear in the list. You must select it and save changes. Here, we will not go into the details of certificate authentication. Logging Settings tab is active by default, and therefore all warnings will be on syslog. So if Edge is connected to the syslog server, all messages will go there. Check that IPSec VPN status is activated. Go to site B, the other edge, and there also raise the IPSec site. Go to the virtual data center, open it. We have just configured M14. Now we need to configure K41. Enter the desired data center, tap Edges, select our edge. Check again IP allocation, that here is the external IP address 176.53.182.80, exactly as it is in the network scheme. And this is the edge we're going to configure now. Basically, configuring is the same. Go to Services tab, then to VPN, IPSec VPN, and IPSec VPN site. Add site. Activate our IPSec site. Activate PFS. Enter the name. Let's call it IPSec K41. Here we specify the external IP address. See 176.53.182.80 and the same local endpoint. Here we have to specify the local subnet 192.168.23.0/24, IP address of the remote site 45.134.60.6. Remote subnet is local 192.168.14.0/24. Type of encryption, we have selected AES 256 last time. Set the same. Pre-shared key. The same test 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything else will leave by default. Press Keep to save changes. Then go to the Activation Status tab and activate our tunnel. Click on Save Changes. Wait until our configuration is applied. Go to the tab Statistics, IPSec VPN. Here we see that the channel status and tunnel status is up. Next step is to look at the virtual machines 192.168.14 192.168.1.3 and 192.168.23.2 to see if they are connected. Go to VM 192.168.14.3. We are connected to it via SSH. Check this. See what IP address is given. Try pinging 192.168.23.2. The tunnels are connected. On the opposite point of 23.2, check the IP address and see that 23.2 is here. Try pinging the other point. We see that the connectivity exists and all is well. Also, for the tunnel diagnostics, it is very useful to go to the edge and check via SSH what the status is, and all the diagnostic commands are more convenient to watch in the edge itself. To enable SSH access to edge, go to tab Edges, choose Our Edge, also tap Service. Here we see Edge Settings. Click option SSH Status Enabled. Create a password and save the settings. After that, access to our edge via SSH will be available. We have already made the connection. You can see our external IP address. We have connected to it and we can check IPsec. Here we see that tunnel site 1 is up. Site name, local IP address, and all the details. So, in this lesson, we have figured out how to create IPsec VPN between two edges. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.